Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated, where today is going to be a fun one. We're talking about the cult classic Teen Wolf 2 with members from the actual cast. So I'm joined by Stuart Fratkin, who's one of my favorite actors. I could name off like 30 different things he's been in. That's probably not even half of what he's done.
Wow.
Love Stuart's work. And by one of my favorite people and former boss, Scott Powell. So welcome, Scott. Welcome, Stuart.
Thank you.
Howdy.
Now, can you name 30 of my films?
Well, I think I could name 2.
And that would be probably the end of the list right there.
Yeah, because didn't you did a little something with Back to School too, right?
Yeah, I was in Back to School, but in order for me to show you where I was, you need to be with me, and I need to have a remote control with a good pause button on it. Yeah, I got to pick me out of the crowd scene.
Oh,
See,
so
that
now I
still
get
counts.
the connection, the boss subordinate connection as to why Scott's on this. I got it.
That's right. That's the
I didn't have a
only reason,
choice.
Stuart, why I made the cut was the boss connection here.
See, the difference, Scott, and you and me, is that if I had been in those movies, it'd be on an IMDb page. It'd be up there.
That's right. Yeah, I've been waiting for the nomination of Best Extra in a low-budget film for 30 years now.
Well, you can go on there. You can edit it yourself. There is a screener, I think, or somebody that edits those pages. So you can enter your own credit, but then somebody else has to approve it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
There is a story about I think it's actually I listened to a podcast with Jason Bateman and Will Arnett. They have a podcast called Smartless. It's very funny.
Yeah.
And they have guests on, so that him, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett all invite a guest. The other two don't know who they're going to invite, and they tell a story. I think it was that. They tell stories of, it was Jimmy Kimmel they had on, and Jimmy Kimmel used to be neighbors with John Krasinski, and they used to post fake credits onto IMDb to see if the other one would notice, and Wikipedia, so they would put things that they weren't in fake movies with a description of the character they played, and then they would wait to see how long it would take for the other one to find out.
Oh, I love that. I'll be doing that now.
Yeah, it's a good gag to play.
That's a great prank. So let's start here. So before the movie, did you two know each other, or did you meet on the movie?
Well, we knew each other before.
Yeah.
Stuart got me into the film. Yeah.
So Scott and I met at a improv workshop. It was a sitcom workshop that was really an improv class, a very, very popular one at the time in the mid 80s. Scott and I met in that class, became friends, and then eventually moved out together. So Scott had moved out from Lynchburg, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And moved out. He had a small apartment in Hollywood. I know that because I stayed there overnight. I did a TV show, and I'll never forget. There's a side story of me sleeping on the floor in Scott's apartment to go do the new Love American Style, and I woke up in the middle of the night and saw a cockroach running across the floor. So I said to myself, "This is what they mean by paying your dues."
That's right.
That's right.
So eventually,
I paid dues. I never got the payoff there. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, Stuart, go ahead.
That was it. So Scott and I moved out together, and then eventually, there's a whole bunch of stories. Just that's a whole separate podcast, Michael, about our experience living together. But eventually I got Teen Wolf 2, and they asked if we knew anybody that wanted to work on it, wanted to be a part of it. So
Yeah.
I got Scott in on it, and that's how that started.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting with that. I think I'm stuck on the fact that you guys were in an improv class together. I think that would have been fun to check out. Improv's not easy.
No, it wasn't. And it was at ADC Studios. There was a teacher that had taught a class at an outdoor theater that I was working at the summer before I came out to LA. And he had told me, if you ever come to LA, give me a call and you can get into this class. So the night I got to LA happened to be the night of the acting class. And I was absolutely horrible. Stuart will attest. I think he even said, when you first came in, you just really weren't that funny. He was right. Stuart was great though. It was a fun class.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a very popular class at that time. And I don't even remember how I got into it. I don't remember who told me about it, but it was a very popular class. The guy who ran it had a very specific reputation for helping young people get into sitcoms. That was his thing. It was, as I said, it was called a sitcom workshop, but it really was improvisation within a sitcom framework. In fact, one of the exercises we did, several of the exercises we did, was to come up with our own sitcoms, improvise within the context of a sitcom, and come up with a theme. And that was one of the exercises. It was very difficult and very hard, and it was challenging.
Yeah, that sounds hard.
But the payoff was, and Scott knows this, payoff is that he was very connected within the entertainment industry and would often invite industry people, producers, casting directors, agents, and they'd sit in the back of the room and watch the workshop and then pick and choose who they potentially would want or would want to bring in for something. So it was influential in that way.
Yeah. That's really interesting. So when you guys were on the movie set, I mean, this obviously it's a remake. It's got the majority is a new cast. What was that kind of vibe like? Because the first movie had done really well. So was there pressure to kind of equal the success of the first movie, or was it just let's just get out there and have fun and see what happens?
Well, the first movie, I was thinking about this morning, the strategy behind releasing the first movie was directly in correlation with the release of Back to the Future. So the original Teen Wolf was done prior to Back to the Future, but they waited until Back to the Future was released. And then, of course, rode on the coattails of the popularity of that movie. So that is what made, I'm not sure if it would have done as well as it did, the original Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox. That was, I think, 85 that was released. And it did extremely well, obviously, after the release of Back to the Future. And then they were putting together the second one, and Michael J. Fox did not want to do a second Teen Wolf, and that's where he came up with the idea. Could you believe that? After Back to the Future, he either could have done Teen Wolf 2 or Back to the Future 2.
Well, no makeup in Back to the Future.
Yeah. So then they put together casting for Teen Wolf 2. And I don't know why some of the other cast members did not participate in it. I did I think it was either it was a 30th anniversary Blu-ray edition of Teen Wolf 2, and I did an interview for that. And I learned, because they did it on the first one too, it said they did a special edition of the first one and the second one. So I learned, watching Jerry Levine's interview, who played the original Stiles in the first one, and I learned from his according to him, they never asked him to be in the second one, which is
it's interesting.
very strange. I have no idea why. And, thankfully he wasn't asked to do it. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
None of the other cast, except for, I think 2 people come back. That is Mark Holton, who played Chubby.
Yep.
And then somebody else too came back.
Maybe, was it one of the coaches? Maybe.
Oh no, it was Jim Hampton.
Oh right, Jim Hampton. Yeah.
Remember Jim, Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a good dude, huh?
He was the uncle, right?
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, Jim Hampton was such a thrill working with him. I was a big fan of his from, he was in the original Longest Yard.
Oh yeah. He's a great actor. Yeah, he was in some really good stuff. Was he in? Maybe it may be Longest Yard that I'm thinking of that he was in, but he did a lot of stuff back in that time period.
He worked quite a bit in the 70s and then 80s. And then he originated the part of I don't remember the character's name. He was Scott's in Teen Wolf 2. He was Scott's uncle, so maybe he was.
Was it Howard? Maybe.
Yeah. That's
Uncle
the
Howard?
last. But it was. Who was he in the first one? Was he Michael J. Fox's father?
I was thinking he was the dad in the first one.
Yeah, I think he was.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I think he was.
Here's you a technical question. This may stump you, but
this sounds like a joke. Sounds like a setup for a joke.
Yeah. So Uncle Howard has brown hair, but when he turns into the wolf, it's gray. What's up with that?
That is a classic side effect to lycanthropy. You didn't know this, Michael? I'm teaching you something. Yes.
Yeah, this is all news to me.
It's a scientific fact that when you do transition from a normal human being to a werewolf, that your hair turns gray. As you can see, I have a lot of gray hair.
Well, you'd see it on mine if there was any left to see. We're not all blessed with, the Hollywood hair that Scott has.
I know. Look at Scott. Damn.
See, I've got to take on a new Teen Wolf movie.
Yes.
So this one's gonna star Scott as a call center director that is learning that he's turning into a werewolf. I think Stiles could fit right in there.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Is there some kind of sport that he's supposed to take? He was not very good at until he turns in from the call center.
What do you think, Scott? What would your sport be?
God, you know what? I don't know what a call center guy would do. I have no idea.
Maybe Scott, you're just a really bad call center guy until you turn into the wolf, and then suddenly everything.
That's the only thing I can think of, right? So, see, Mike, this is where the improv training comes in, and you can see Stuart's much more adept at telling you about how the werewolf's hair turns gray, and that's a scientific fact. Well, I'm stumped on what sport a call center guy would play.
Well, I'm not stumped, Scott. If I remember correctly, when I met you, I did see pictures of you dancing.
Don't stop.
If I remember correctly, this was from high school.
He's surprisingly agile.
Oh, he's not.
Very graceful.
That's what it is. I could be the dancing werewolf.
At the call center, Scott, that's always what we said about you behind your back was, oh, he is graceful.
He's agile.
He is agile. All right. Well, that's good to know. Thank you, Michael.
Was Scott agile with his pink slips?
Ooh, he could be. He could be pretty. I don't know about graceful, but pretty agile. So I had read that they had planned to do a third movie, but this time with a girl in the lead role. Alyssa Milano was supposed to play the lead. So was Stiles coming back for that one too?
I didn't, to be honest, I've only heard rumors after the second one. For your viewers, for the single viewer that's watching, Scott and I here.
Well, we know Emily's watching, so we got one.
Okay, so Emily, I didn't. So you probably know this. So Teen Wolf 2 did not do as well as the original. So surprisingly,
It's so close though.
In terms of what? Quality?
Yeah, right.
Like
Sure.
script wise?
Sure.
Depth of character development.
Yeah, I mean, to me, and even I recognized it at the time after they had changed the script from what I originally read, which was pretty good, which was pretty funny, to then changing it to almost capitalize on the first one and make it almost, extremely similar in feeling and in humor and almost the story as well. But I didn't hear anything after that. I'd heard that they were going to do like a cartoon. And then there was some talk about somehow incorporating the TV show, the MTV TV show, with some kind of weird bridge, some kind of bridge between the two.
Callback would have been cool.
It's always cool. Callbacks are always cool. Yeah. But no, I don't know anything about the Alyssa Milano.
I'm guessing you didn't hear about it because they had chosen someone else to play Stiles in this one too.
Well, there wasn't one, Michael. How dare you?
I'm just saying that was the thought. That's all. I'm just saying you hadn't heard that there might be one. Maybe Sarah Jessica Parker.
I'm supposed to be the guest, aren't I? Scott, what did you get me into here?
I'm sorry, man. I didn't know what he was going to do. He's from West Virginia, man. You never know.
That's right. You never know. The hard-hitting questions, putting you under the lights.
That's okay.
So, what was it about the 80s that every other movie was a werewolf movie? I mean, you had the Wolfen and Howling, American Werewolf in London, Silver Bullet, a couple Teen Wolves. I'm probably forgetting some.
I don't know, Scott. I'm going to let you take this one.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I have no idea, Michael. Sorry, brother. You went to the well once too often.
I know. I tried. I gave it a shot.
Listen, I loved all those films. And I love Teen Wolf, the first one. Jason Bateman was super cool on set. At the time, nobody knew who he was. I didn't. Everybody knew his sister Justine from Family Ties. So I think he was like, Stuart, what was he, like 17 or 18 when he did the film?
Yep.
Right. And he was just down to earth. He may have done a TV show before. I don't know whether it was, I think you might be right. It may have been his first film. But what I remember a couple different things. First off, he was just a genuine down to earth guy. Just sit down and chat with you. And I remember sitting in the gym, and it was Stuart and Jason, myself, and one or two of the other characters. And we were just sitting there talking in between scenes. And some random extra came walking up, didn't say a word, but had one of those old school cameras that had the flash bulb on it, walked right up into his face and took a picture, blinded him, and then turned and walked away. And Jason looks, first off, he couldn't see for a few minutes. And then he turned to us and said, if she had just asked me, I'd been happy to pose for a picture for her. It was just the oddest thing I've ever seen. And then the other thing, and Stuart, maybe you remember this, but I think it was Atlantic Releasing produced the film. Is that right?
That's correct.
They gave him a car for his birthday, because his birthday was during the filming of the movie. And they gave him, I want to say it was a Corvette.
I do not remember
during
that.
the filming.
That is
Yeah.
something I do not remember. Wow.
You didn't get a car?
Yeah.
I didn't get a car. No. I got a credit. I got credit in the movie.
Yeah.
I'll take that. And I had
I
a nice
got a
trailer.
milkshake at craft services.
So Scott, so the movie was shot in Claremont, California, which is probably 2 hours and change outside of LA.
Yeah.
So if I remember this correctly, when Scott came up to shoot the movie with me, he stayed in the other room. So I had a suite, and the doors were connecting, and so
Yeah. You want to tell the rest of that story?
about you bringing Jackie up, that part of the story.
No. That wouldn't have been as. I don't remember that part actually, but there was a certain female acquaintance that was also in the film that.
Yes.
Yeah, that was in one of those rooms, I guess. I don't know how to put it other than that.
Yes. I have had a couple of podcasts regarding Teen Wolf 2, and up to this point, Scott, I have not mentioned that.
And I was being polite.
Then I won't either. Then I won't either.
I did my research. I know, but I wasn't going to bring it up.
Wow. Yes. Up to this point, she's gone unnamed, only in hints.
Yeah.
But it was always.
I will leave her unnamed then.
I'm sure she'd appreciate that. It was always. I'll tell you, Michael. It was always a party. The movie was.
Yeah. Well, it's a young cast.
What's that?
It was a young cast. You would expect it to be pretty rowdy.
Yes. So the very beginning. So when I first got up there to the location, we had 3 days of rehearsal for the cast to get to know each other. So it was Mark Holton, Esty, Jason, the guy who's over your shoulder right there, if you move your head a little bit, that's Bob Neary.
Yeah.
Who I nicknamed for some bizarre reason. Scott may remember it. I called him McNeary. I don't know if he's seen that.
You did. You did.
Did he appreciate that?
Yeah, he was a good dude. Everybody was really very nice on that movie. So then a couple of their cast members, we all assembled in Jason's suite. Jason had the place we stayed in Claremont wasn't like the Four Seasons. It was literally like a motel. But in it, there was a presidential suite that Jason stayed in. So we all gathered in Jason's room nightly and partook in illicit drugs and alcohol, and bonded for 3 nights straight. And then just also there's some little known trivia about it. So Teen Wolf 2 was a non-union movie, except
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
The clapboard, it was called the Lichen Transformation Project. That was the working title for Teen Wolf 2. And I didn't know this, going into it, because it was a SAG movie, so it was a union movie for actors. Scott probably knows this too. And then during the movie, the union found out, and they came and they shut down the set for a couple of days until they signed a union contract. So it went from being called the Lichen Transformation Project to Teen Wolf 2 literally in 2 days. And I didn't know what that meant, but it's a little trivia for you.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. Were they doing that just trying to keep the cost down?
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So you guys worked with Jason when he was first starting out, did it surprise you that he went on to kind of become he's a pretty big star now, but did that surprise you to see him do that after you'd worked with him?
I mean, from my point of view, no. Jason, so prior to Teen Wolf 2, he was a TV star. So Jason has been working since he was 8, 9. He was in Silver Spoons with Rick.
That's right.
He was a regular.
You made an appearance on Silver Spoons.
I did.
Yeah, you did.
Homework.
Yeah. No, I didn't have to do my homework on that one. Did you have a scene with Aaron Gray?
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You lost me then. That was what I was excited about. But
oh no, I did not.
No, I actually remember you on that one. I used to watch Silver Spoons because I was a big Aaron Gray fan.
Wow, that's pretty good. That was like one of my first jobs. Yes, I was. I don't know if I was living with Scott at that time or living still at home. I don't remember that far back. But yeah, I was. I guess start on that. But he was on, I think, the later seasons maybe.
Yeah.
And then he went on to do Valerie or Valerie's Family. I think it was called Valerie.
And then it changed to like the Hogan Family, something like that.
Correct. Where then he was the star of the show after Sandy Duncan, I think she moved on. Oh no, it was Sandy Duncan was the second part of the cast. The first was Valerie Harper.
That's right.
That's why it was called Valerie. And it was very funny, and he was very funny in it. So you could definitely see the makings of a very talented young guy. And so Scott's already said it earlier. You could tell he was a sweet guy, very bright, creative. Clearly by that point on Teen Wolf 2, he had already honed his skills. So personally, it didn't surprise me to see him do what he's done today, but I mean, to the extent that he's done it. I mean, I don't know if you're a fan of Ozark.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Just incredible directing and producing, and of course acting. And if you haven't listened to this podcast, it's really funny.
No, I absolutely will. Yeah, I'll check that out. It amazes me the types of work that he's doing, because he did comedy for so long, and now he did the Stephen King or maybe Stephen King's son's show Outsider, where he played the he was the gym coach. He gets accused of a murder. First season. Was that? I think that was Outsider, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's called The Outsider, and he gets killed in it.
He gets killed in it. He's not in it for very long, but he's really good in it.
He produced it, and I think he directed the first episode, and it's very strange, but it's very well done. And once again, just a testimony to his talent. But he's another one of those guys who got a second chance. There was a period, and he talks about it on his podcast, where he didn't work and he was worried about what he was going to do and, where his career was going. And then he got hired on Arrested Development, and literally the rest is history.
Yeah, it just took off. Because, it was really strange, because he was in everything when I was growing up, and then he just disappeared. And there was a period of time where you didn't see him. And then Arrested Development came up, which was just hilarious. And he was back. And after that, you see him in everything.
Yeah. I can see him right over your shoulder, in fact.
Yeah, he's in there. So I went the wrong way. I can't get there we go. My lean right.
Yeah, there's
the back of his head there.
Jason and McNary and Scott.
And McNary.
Have you guys stayed close with any of the rest of the cast? Are you still in contact with any of them?
I have not. I tried to stay in touch with Mark for quite a while, and then I tried to stay in touch with the other cast member that Scott was referring to a little bit earlier. Scott and I have stayed in touch through Facebook and social media.
I know Facebook's great for that.
It is, and so the only other person I have had some contact with is Esty. Esty Chandler.
Yeah.
So her and I did this 30th anniversary. So they got in touch with me, and then I got in touch with her, and then got her involved in it. The re-release, the Blu-ray edition that came out.
Scott, how did you miss that?
You know what? I don't know. I think it was between my email address had changed or something. They just didn't want to talk to the.
They did all
best
those
extra on
extra
the
scenes.
set.
I mean, they could have done the extra scene with you, like the little,
Yeah.
I want to know about this guy. What's his story? You could have given it.
That's right. The monologue that got cut out of the movie for me, I could have gone through that again. That scene.
No,
just,
I'm going to tell
refresh
you
it.
the reason. They told me when I was interviewed why Scott was not included in the 30th anniversary. Pick up that jersey again, buddy.
Oh yeah, let's see the jersey. This was before we came on. That's right.
They knew that you stole it.
Ah,
They knew you stole it.
There
They
you
want
go.
it back.
look at that.
How about that?
That's
So
awesome.
that
You need to frame that.
If I remember
That
correctly,
and I could.
that jersey is from, and I just remember this because some guy in another podcast has a jersey from Hamilton, and I just
Really?
realized that is from the other school.
That's right.
forgot
That's the
that
rival.
part. Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that just came back to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Stuart, you did a podcast with a friend of mine, Doug.
Oh yes,
Yeah. Which
Yes.
I didn't realize. I was doing research. I was like, hey, there's Doug.
yeah. I like Doug. Doug's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
We still communicate on social media, but his is not the podcast. He's not the guy who has that.
Yeah.
The other guy who has it, actually, he showed it to me or sent me a picture of the jersey, the Hamilton jersey, and it's framed.
Yeah, that's what I said. You need to frame yours, Scott.
Yeah,
That should be hanging on the
should.
wall.
You're right. I found it in a box when I was cleaning out the attic several months ago, and
Why don't
so
you
I dug it up for you.
sign it and frame it?
Yeah.
I could do that.
Why
To
wasn't
Scott.
that hanging at Ticketmaster, like beside the NBA jerseys that we had up? It would have been hilarious.
I just never thought of it, Mike.
That would have
It's a
been
great idea.
fun. That would have been a great touch, Scott.
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity.
That would have. That would have. Here, let me show you another one, because this is something else I got off the set. Although can you see that? I don't know if that's coming across.
Yeah,
that's from the continuity lady. She gave that to me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That John was the coach of our team, and I can't remember his last name for the life of me. But he was a good dude. He used to train, or he told us a story about, this is way back in the mid '80s. So Tyson was just coming up, Mike Tyson, and he had sat in on a training session with Tyson and was talking about that. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So he actually he did a little bit of I guess prep before he took the job, or was that something that he did outside of acting?
You know what? Based on some of the conversations we had, because we were over on the side and we were screaming and yelling during the boxing matches, and during when they cut and we were in between scenes, he came over and kind of educated us on what happens with amateur fights, that you're actually not allowed to call out instructions from the corner. Yeah. So I think he used to coach amateurs.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I think he had some experience.
Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. Stuart, you were in a show, speaking of werewolves, you were in a show called Werewolf. I remember you in that one as well.
It was.
Yeah, that was an underrated show.
Yes, it was a good show. That was during the Fox Broadcasting Network days. Yeah. Or the FBC, as they were called in the that was late 80s, I think.
Yeah, somewhere in there. So probably late 80s, maybe early 90s.
I got killed. That was directed by James Darren.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. James did. Yeah. So that was shot in Utah, and we got killed, myself and an old friend of mine who I went to high school with, Noah Blake. Both got killed.
Yeah, that's kind of awesome. That's all I would want, because I would be a terrible actor, but if you just wanted to bring me on there and shoot me or
To kill you?
kill me, I'd be fine with that.
You'd be good at getting maimed? Is that what you're saying?
I could do that.
Hey, Stuart, did you?
get shot?
Did I ever get shot? Not
Or
in a
killed?
movie.
Maimed? Not in a movie. All center accident.
Yeah. No, I never did. No, I never did. Did Stuart? Did you survive through Godzilla, or did you get killed there too?
Oh yeah, you were an ensign in Godzilla.
I was, yeah. Let's see what happens in that scene. I think I do survive. I think they screw up trying to shoot Godzilla. Oh no, the sub does survive because they think they killed Godzilla. The sub that I was the ensign on, they shoot Godzilla and they kill that one, but there's another one, if I remember the movie correctly. I don't even know if that's true or not, or right. It sounds right.
It sounds right.
It does.
Let's just go with it.
But Godzilla too.
So
Yes. No, that was another one. They were not going to do a second.
they weren't going to do that one. So I always, before I interview anybody, I always take pictures around to everybody in the family to see if they've seen you in anything, if they can recognize you from anything. It's hit and miss. But I got a couple hits this time. So
Okay.
my daughter, my oldest, recognized you from That's So Raven. She'd seen you on
Wow.
there. So I thought that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That is very good.
Yeah, well, this one's even better. So my mother, when I was younger, she had this big crush on Martin Milner, who was on Adam 12. Well, they came out with a new version, Adam 12.
Oh my
He
God.
recognized you from that.
What? That is somebody who either has a photographic memory or is spending way too much time in front of the television.
You know, I think this is what I suspect. They started, there's one of those My TV channels, and they've started showing those old Adam 12s, not just the original, but the remake as well. And I'm guessing maybe she has watched that again and seen your episode.
So literally, it doesn't look anything like me. That I'm wearing like this nondescript hat and wearing like this oversized shirt, and I'm on a tightrope, if I remember this correctly. The scene was this guy who wants to call attention to himself on Hollywood Boulevard goes out on a line on a tightrope, and they think he's going to commit suicide. So the guys from Adam 12 come and they go, come down. This is brilliant writing. Come down. And he goes, just give me a couple minutes. And then the guy walks out, with the pole on the line, and then they take him and they book him or whatever. That's crazy.
That's pretty good. Yeah, because I was assuming that everybody would recognize you from Friends, because everybody, Friends is on all the time. I thought maybe they.
Wait a second. Is your mom not a fan of Ski School?
I'm a fan of Ski School. I remember the theater, going to the theater and seeing Ski School. But
yeah. I really was doing that first. I wanted to see Scott's response to that.
Classic 80s movie.
I want to go back and just understand, did you actually have tightrope walking as your special business on your resume back then?
My special skill. No, but I also had stuff on there that, as well as I do. I think I put skiing on there, and I probably hadn't hit the slope since I was like 8 years old. And so,
Yeah, what was the audition for that like? Did they just like step up on this beam?
I seriously don't even remember back then. I can't even, I mean, some auditions I remember quite well. That one I don't remember at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me, hey, Stuart, my wife and I were talking about this, and then I swear I have this memory, but I'm going to, given that you brought up auditions, do you remember your first audition? And what did you wear?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a classic Stuart Fratkin story. Yeah. I don't think I must have told you that because I know we weren't living together.
You did. I think you did.
But my very first audition I had, I was trying to sign with an agent, and the agent was like, okay, well, let's give it a try. I'm going to send you up on this. This is for a kid. He's like, 17 years old. He's a slacker, and he spends all of his time in his pajamas. Is this the one you're referring to, Scott?
I don't know. Keep going.
Okay. So I had the brilliant idea. So he's a slacker. I mean, that was before, the term slacker was even used, but that's what he was. He was a slacker. He spent all of his time in his pajamas all day and all night. And then I had the brilliant idea of going to the audition in my pajamas. So I got the pajamas, I put them on, and then I was just about to leave and I got cold feet. So I put on, talk about like the worst choice ever. I went from wearing pajamas that the character would wear to wearing a suit.
Oh.
So I walk through the door. I go into the door of where the audition is being held. I walk in and there's like 15 young guys, and you'll never guess what they were wearing. Yeah, they weren't wearing a suit. So I'll just tell you that. They were all wearing pajamas. And so when I went in, it was a disaster waiting to happen. I went in, this is a good wraparound story. So I go in to the casting director. I do the audition. It's terrible, of course, because I'm all freaked out because I walk in and everybody's wearing pajamas except for the schmuck who's wearing a suit. And the casting director gives the agent this feedback. She says, he looks like a nice guy, but he's green. And I was like, what does that mean? That casting director's name was Joan Sittenfeld. And she was just doing her job, right? She was a little abrasive, abrupt. Years later, I did a TV show called They Came from Outer Space.
Yeah, love that show. Yep.
With Dean Cameron. And after the show was over, they were negotiating for Scott and I for another series, another contract with Universal. So we go in and we go meet the executives, and you'll never guess who is in the room there with the executives, none other than Joan Sittenfeld.
Did she remember you?
She did. And I said to her, I told her that story, and you know what her response was? See, it worked.
He knew.
I don't know, was that the story
what's that?
Was that the
story?
Yeah,
that's it. Well, when you were saying about the pajamas, I thought, uh-oh, this is a different one. My story is about the suit. But you're there, that was perfect. And the Scott in that story, by the way, Mike, is his agent, because his agent's name was Scott, right? Right, sir?
Yeah, that was not that's not the agent I was trying to get signed with. That was like a couple of years before Scott. But it was another.
Yeah, but when you were saying you were negotiating later on, that was Scott, right?
Yes.
Your agent?
That sure was, yes.
That's right.
Scott. Yep.
Right. I just assumed he dragged you along to all his stuff.
That's why I just wanted to clarify that I wasn't negotiating at that point.
So Scott, the whole time you're on set, you didn't cause any problems. You didn't get in any trouble. You just kind of hung out.
No, I was just, I mean, to be honest, I was just thrilled to be on a movie set. I mean, I was like a little kid in a candy store. You know, to me, it was all brand new. I can't remember whether I had done back to school at that point or not, but just, I mean, I was literally just an extra with a special business. You know, I was a boxing guy in the background. And like I said at the beginning, Stuart got me into it. And because of that connection, I had access, like you said, you know, I got to hang out with them. He was nice enough to let me stay at his place. So I had special treatment, I guess you could say, when I was there. So I was just really appreciative. My favorite thing was, and I made a joke earlier about craft services, but craft services was the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it's whatever you wanted to eat, it was there. It was unbelievable. It was a lot of fun.
Well, when you're a starving
and
actor.
everybody, it was a place to eat, man, right? It was a meal. So yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. And like I said, all the folks were super cool and friendly. Jason in particular, you know, you could tell that. I mean, he wasn't as famous as he is now, obviously, but he had a level of fame there with all those TV shows that you guys were talking about. And he wasn't affected by it. At least it didn't seem like it. He just seemed really down to earth. Cool dude.
Yeah. That's pretty great. Neither one of you tried to talk somebody into letting you do the surfing on top of the van, any type of surf scene.
Was that in the first one or something?
Yeah, it was in the first one where he had to surf on top of the van.
Who was on the top?
It had Michael J. Fox, where he did the you know, as the wolf, he's surfing on
right.
The van's driving.
I don't remember that first one that well. I think I didn't see it prior to reading for the second one.
Yeah, I heard it. So was that a choice? Did you choose not to watch it until after you read it, or was it just you didn't really think about it?
I hadn't seen it up to that point. I just felt like it wouldn't help me. Yeah. What is it going to do? I'm going to probably do my own shtick anyway, as Scott knows. Back in those days, I would really just do my own shtick, regardless of what was written on the paper. So I didn't think that it would help at all. In addition to, and I knew this then, but I said this on one of the other interviews I've done, is that those two characters, that the character from the first one and the character from the second one had completely different first names. So in my mind, they were not the same people. They were
they were cousins.
They were related somehow, Michael. Yeah. So it didn't matter to me what Jerry Levine did in the first one and what I did in the second one. They were completely different. And I know people on the internet have debated which one they liked better, but I thought Jerry's contribution to the first one was great. Eventually, when I saw it, I was like, oh. So I thought he did a really good job. And then, then I did my thing in the second one.
I always thought that would have been a good one for the show to do, would have been to have a scene with you and Jerry just there, not even playing necessarily your character from the movies, but just have you in the scene, both of you together. I thought that would have been kind of a neat way to call back.
I agree. I like I said, I have no idea. I love those kind of things though too. Those little Easter eggs you put in for fans that only fans would know who that other person is, but they clearly would if they saw the first one, right?
Yeah. There was a couple of things that from that movie that I think help with the cult status, because there's a few errors that they make in the filming that I think that's when you're a fan, that's the type of stuff you look for. So one of those is it's a college in Colorado. There's a lot of palm trees there, apparently.
Got it.
Thought that was pretty good. And then there's a scene where you are you're trying to get through a door, like your dorm room door, and it's locked. Yes. But every time you hit the door, it opens a little bit. And I thought that's pretty good.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
I remember, I know that one. And then there is a very famous outtake. I don't know if it's in you're gonna have to help me with this, Michael, because it sounds like to me like you are a cinephile. So you might know. There's a very famous outtake. It's from some. I want to say it's from either Teen Wolf 2 or Teen Wolf 1.
Okay.
Where it is, and it's in the final movie where they show a kid in the stands with his pants down and his hand down his shorts. You've never seen this before?
I haven't, but I have heard that story. I didn't even think to go and try to find it.
Look it up. It is, I don't know if it's, it could be another teen movie, but for some reason, the schlock in Teen Wolf 2 would lend itself to something like that, where it's one of those famous things that like the continuity person on the set or when they were editing it were like, what's going on here? Let's just leave it in. So if you look that up, I don't know where it is, but it's.
Yeah, no, I didn't even think of that because I have heard that story before, but it didn't even occur to me. But that's pretty hilarious.
Yeah,
I love those type of things, especially.
Hey, Scott, I'm curious too. I'm curious for Scott because I know that I think you must have stayed in that room for a week or 2 weeks, something like that. And I know we didn't spend a lot of time together because I was working most of the time, but I know we played basketball. Remember that game of basketball you and I played? It was you and I against Jason and one of the stuntmen.
Oh, now that's awesome.
It was in the gym there when Scott first got there. We have a basketball game. I have pictures in an album at home.
Did you win?
No, we did not win. I sucked. For sure. And I remember Scott was pretty good. I was not good at all. I could shoot, but I could not. That's about it. My skills diminished after shooting, but I remember Scott and I playing that game, and it was shirts. It was shirts against skins, and Jason and the stunt guy were shirts, and Scott and I were skins. And I remember the girl who I eventually hooked up with was watching, and when we were done, I walked back over to her, and she was like, "You should keep your shirt on."
It's not ideal.
Scott, I'm curious. I wanted to ask you, since I was getting to this question, is that what is the most vivid memory you have working on the movie? Like give me a couple of vivid things you remember about working on the movie, besides, talking to Jason and that fan that came up and took that picture. What else for you?
Because I was in that boxing scene, we shot that over and over and over again. I remember that the characters were great and down to earth, but the stunt guys all had chips on their shoulders when it came to fighting. They'd been hired to be the boxers, so they just, I remember them having a little bit of a chip on their shoulders. But the scene, the boxing scene, I remember. I hate to keep bringing up the craft services thing. I don't know why I was so impressed with that, but it was. I really dug that, and just being able to. The impression that I had being in the movie was I knew that I was an extra. There were literally hundreds and hundreds of people that were there, and they were the same extras. So when you talk about the guy up in the stands. Those guys moved from scene to scene. They were in other parts of the movie too, but those guys would just hang out and mingle around in between takes when they would set up different camera shots in different scenes. But I got to hang out with Stuart and the stars of the film, so that memory was just really cool. It was fun.
Nice, that's cool.
Yeah, no, that's actually really great. I mean, what a great experience. And obviously you got some memorabilia from the set.
Yeah. Now listen, they were given to us. I did not steal that.
That's actually not true. I did take some things. I took the plaque that was on, I think it was on the dorm room door, or it was inside one of the sets and it had Stiles' name on it. And that is how I proved that the two characters had different first names, because I took that plaque with me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's how they're billed in the credits or not, but I did take that. What else did I take? I think I took a couple T-shirts. I took a sweatshirt that said Team Wolf 2. I didn't take a jersey. That's pretty cool that you snagged.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, then let me restate it. I didn't steal anything from the people that paid via paycheck.
They gave it to you.
They gave it to me. That's right.
They donated it to you.
I think it was my paycheck, actually. That's how I got paid in the T-shirt.
Still worth it. Did you have any contact with any of the writers?
Who are you asking?
Either one of you.
I assume that was to Stuart.
Yeah, either one of you, because the reason I ask is there was one of the writers, I didn't realize this, was Jeff Loeb, or Jeff Loebs, and he's a really big comic book movie type of person now, but that was one of his first things that he did back then. I was curious if you had any contact with him.
So if I remember correctly, he and the other writer originated the characters from the first one. They did not, I don't think they did, Michael, I don't think they wrote the second one. A guy named Tim Kring.
That's right, he did. I think Jeff may have did some of the dialogue maybe for that. Is that possible? Yeah, Tim Kring was absolutely the screenwriter.
Tim was on set a couple of times.
Yeah.
Loeb, I don't remember meeting him, but I remember specifically Tim Kring being on set because Mark Holton and I spent a lot of time together hanging out. Yeah. He introduced me to Wild Turkey.
Which is terrible, by the way.
Well, compared to what I drink today,
that's right.
It's pretty heinous.
It's the Mad Dog of whiskey.
Yeah. But, Mark Holton's a good old boy. So whenever Tim Kring was on set, first of all, Mark Holton is hysterical, dude. He is we would laugh and laugh. He would crack me up. But whenever he saw Tim Kring, he'd call him Writer Boy. So he'd go, this is one of those indelible things that's imprinted on my memory. He'd go, how you doing, Writer Boy? To Tim Kring, Writer Boy.
I like that. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Mark and I would improvise a lot, quite a bit. A lot of it did not make it in the final cut. They cut a lot of scenes out of the final, and as you can see, it's an improvement on the final print. I mean, personally, I think it would have benefited from more humor and less love story.
Right.
I think that's what made the first one original, is that bond between all the characters. But anyway, so Mark and I would improvise quite a bit. Jason did not improvise a lot. Jason's dad was on the set a lot. Jason's dad was one of the producers.
Right.
Kent Bateman, and he was on the set every day. So Jason was pretty strict on dialogue.
Yeah. No, and that makes sense. Yeah. This has been a big one for me, because I love hearing the behind the scenes stuff. And to me, it wouldn't matter how big a success the movie was. Just the fact that you got to make a movie, spend all that time with people your age, just get the experience, and what a great time. I mean, I would love that. Sneak out with a jersey or something. That'd be great. But thank you guys. This has been great. I would keep you talking and telling stories until Emily called and said I gotta stop. But I'm trying to be professional.
It's been fun, man. It was a pleasure for me. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a thrill seeing Scott after all these years. Like I said, Scott and I can fill up probably a 3-hour podcast with just the stories of us living together.
Yeah,
Quite a lot of fun there.
that's
We
amazing.
had
A lot of great stories there, and it was really great having him on the set too and hanging out with us.
Yeah.
I wish that could have been the same on a lot of other stuff as well.
For
yeah,
sure.
it was great. Mike, this is fantastic, man. I appreciate you in inviting us and putting us together. It's awesome, and I think you're doing great things. So, congrats.
Hey, yeah, I appreciate that, Scott, and appreciate you coming on and bringing Stuart with you. I got Emily told me you'd be willing to do it. I was like, heck yes, let's do it. We haven't got to
That's
hang
been
out
fun.
like this. Do you remember, Scott? We hung out one time, played poker with like your pastor or your priest
right.
or something. It was the
Yeah.
weirdest poker game. And was
Wow.
am I crazy or did you have a bird in that room at the same time?
I did. I had an African gray parrot for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. Stuart and I used to have a poker game too.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's we've got a lot of stories. So you'll have to
Part two.
have another podcast on.
Yeah, part
That's
two.
right, there you go.
Well,
When the
hang on
overwhelming
just a second,
viewership responds, we'll do that.
if Emily
Listen.
likes it, we're doing a part two.
I was going to say, if Emily demands it, we'll do it, and that's it.
We're there.
All right, guys, hold on
I'm
just a
in.
second. All right, so that was Stuart Fratkin and Scott Powell. Pretty fun. Yeah, that was a good time. I love hearing the behind the scenes type of stories, and I know they had a ton more, but that was a blast. And Stuart was as good as I was expecting. Always been a big fan of his. Seen him and just I could have listed off. I was trying to hold it back. You know, I'm a fan. I could have listed off his entire resume, but I held it back. And as I said, Scott's always been one of my favorite people. I could do an entire podcast just on Scott Powell. Just a really interesting, successful guy. And I know that whatever we're talking about, he could make it interesting. So it was just a blast catching up with him too. Hope you guys enjoyed that. This has been a good time. I really liked it. I know there's a lot that you could be watching. I am continually amazed and thankful that you come back and listen and watch our show time after time. I was going to say week after week, but we're putting out 3 or 4 episodes a week. The show is doing well enough that agents and publicists are actually contacting me to get their clients on the show, which is I'm just flabbergasted at that. Started out reaching out, making those contacts myself, and we've done well enough that people are actually reaching out to us, and I'm so thankful. Check us out on Facebook under MeisterCon. You can look at us on the website, meistercon.com. There's a terrific blog that Brett, my son, does on there. It's really well written. It's funny. If you're into gaming, nerdy stuff, it's an absolute must read. If you are listening, please go to YouTube, MeisterCon Pod, and subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. And finally, if you would like to help out the podcast, we have purchased our podcasting studio. We're in the process of renovating it and really fixing it up nice. We're already in it. We're recording in it, but we're making it nice. If you would like to help with that, you can go to patreon.com/MeisterCon. Every little bit helps. So until next time, thank you for joining us. Thanks to Scott. Thanks to Stuart. Bye.